Yeah, it was. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is really hard.
I know, it's all the same.
I know I'm out there.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. It is 7 o'clock, and my job this morning is to open the meeting. So welcome, everyone. Hope you're having a good week so far. The inspiration for today is
Maggie,
Maggie. Okay.
come on up, Maggie.
Don't see it on here. So Maggie, it's probably your first time being the inspirator. Would you like to come up and inspire us,
She's
please?
on her way, on her way. Good morning. Good morning. You're welcome.
But you're not the Toastmaster, she is?
I am.
Oh,
Good morning, thank
he
you.
is.
Okay, so this is my first time, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell you what I do now or do it.
Do it. Go ahead.
Do it!
Yes.
Okay, this is a quote that I've been my favorite for my entire life. I learned it when I was 8 years old, believe it or not. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. It's from the Rubaiyat, it's Omar Khayyam. It means the moving finger is life. What is done is done. No matter how sad you feel about it, you have to move on. Why is it pertinent for Thanksgiving? Because Thanksgiving is a time where we reflect and give gratitude for the moments in our life that bring us to the place where we are today, the moments that are joyful, painful, and bittersweet. So give thanks for all the moments and all the people in your life that have brought you to where you are today.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Maggie. That's okay.
And Mike, you're there. I am not. How about if you do the pledge for us today?
Okay, good plan. Everyone, please.
Thank you.
Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the
of
flag
the United
of
States.
the United States of America
America,
and to the republic
for which
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all. Now turn it over to you.
Thanks, Beth. Good morning, everyone. We might as well start out with a toast. And I like to reflect too. So, and I like to just do a toast to being thankful, really. That to me is what Thanksgiving is about. Thankful for your families, your friends, the good people here at Toastmasters, and moving forward. Here. And mince pie and apple pie, mom's apple pie. And really, apple pie, it's funny, and one of my little fun facts here, apple pie, it took over from pumpkin pie, I have to say. And I'm not really, I mean, I'm an okay fan of pumpkin pie, but for Thanksgiving, apple pie is now king. Let's get to the jobs this morning. Second, just get organized. I know it's here somewhere. What did I do with it? I wrote all my notes on it. Is it right there, Jackie? It's not there. Hold on one second. There we go. Let's start with general evaluator, Mike Licata. We can't forget you. Is Mike
Good
here?
morning. Yes, I'm online. Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. My job as general evaluator is fairly simple. It's to evaluate the Toastmaster, the overall tone of the meeting, to evaluate the three evaluators, and to report back at the end of the meeting. But I want to thank you, Mike, for being on top of everything this morning. I give you a lot of credit for doing the general evaluator first. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Mike. Let's bring our jester up, Steve Smith. Good morning.
Thank you. Let's get right to these wonderfully funny jokes that I have today. Why did the farmer have to separate the chicken and the turkey? He sensed foul play. What side of a turkey has more feathers?
The outside.
Very good. What kind of turkey requires ID? Very good. You look at my notes? Ah, that's not fair then. I found this one and I had to throw it in. What holiday is Dracula's favorite? Thanksgiving. No. Just a couple more. Why? It's more fun to get booed off the stage. Why did they let the turkey join the band? Because he had his own drumsticks. Boom, boom, boom. Well, I was told to stop telling all these stupid Thanksgiving jokes, but I just couldn't quit cold turkey.
Thanks, Steve. All right, let's introduce our WAG master for this morning, Margot, out there in Cyberland. Good morning.
Good morning. So when I looked at there's a so for you folks. When I looked at the list that Mike put on the agenda, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I realized that everyone has different ideas of how to celebrate those holidays, or they have different traditions. So the word of the day today is tradition, the handing down of statements, belief, legends, and customs. So while I'm doing that, I'm also the master to get in the so's, the ahs, and the ums. So I know, Maggie, there's another one for you this morning. It shows you where my brain is because we were up late last night. Maggie, I know you just did the inspiration, but I was wondering if you would like to take on one of those jobs. Would you like to listen for the word of the day tradition or listen for all the ahs and ums today?
Word of the day? You got it, Maggie.
Okay, thank you, Maggie. I'm going to turn that job over to you so that we can start splitting it up. But then, as you know, I all put on my crown because I'm grammarian. And as everybody knows, I like to call people out, including myself, as you have just witnessed. So I will be listening for all those wonderful uses of the English language, the descriptive phrases that just make you shiver. But I don't want to hear double nouns, my mother, she. I don't want your nouns and your verbs to not match in the sense of singulars and plurals. And I will be calling people out at the end of the day. So please use the word tradition and watch your language, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Margot. Maggie, do you have my agenda? Did you pick that up by chance? Yeah, I think it might be on the bottom. You you may have grabbed it. Ah, there it is. I knew it didn't disappear. Yeah, thank you. Mystery solved. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I need that. All right, let's move on to our quiz master, Mark Campos. Mark, out in Cyberland, what are your duties today?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. My job as Quizmaster is to listen throughout the meeting, and I will compile a list of questions, and there will be a quiz at the end of the meeting to see how well you all have been listening. Mr. Toastmaster.
Quizzes. Thanks, Mark. Marty, I think I made a mistake on my agenda. I have Nancy Ferry as the timer, but Marty Johnston is our timer this morning. Come on up, Marty. Just don't take my agenda.
Michael, thank you, Mike, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and our official newest member of AM Lockport Toastmasters, Maggie Craig. Welcome. As timer this morning, I'll be doing my best to keep the meeting on time. For table topics, it's 1.5 to 2 minutes. For the speeches, normally 5 to 7 minutes with a 30-second buffer, and the evaluations 2 to 3 minutes. And at those different portions of the meeting, table topics, you'll see the light, the yellow, the green light come on at 1.5 and the yellow at 1:45 and the red at 2 minutes. And with the speeches, if it's a 5 to 7 minutes, you get the green at 5, the yellow at 6, and the red at 7. And evaluations, it's 2 minutes for the green, 2.5 for the yellow, and 3 minutes for the red. So keep your eye on the monitor here if you're in studio, and if you're not in studio, keep an eye on your screen and you should be able to see the lights. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. With the tradition of Toastmasters, I'll make sure I shake your hand as always. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Marty. Grab all of Jester, timer, quizmaster, table topics. That is everyone. And I just want to thank our Zoom master, Mark, out in Zoom land, definitely. And I want to thank Len as well, for the job that they do every Thursday to help us broadcast all over and wherever. I don't think we have any guests this morning, do we? Thanks. And definitely applaud that. Katie? Okay, welcome, Katie. Is she out there? Do not see. Is Katie a guest or? Katie's a guest. Welcome, Katie. Oh, well, there's Katie. I remember seeing you now. Welcome back, Katie.
Morning. Good morning. Nice
Good morning.
to be.
All right, well, let's move on. Each year, there's about 40 million turkeys cooked. 40 million turkeys, right? And the president gets to pardon the turkey. And the first president to ever really pardon a turkey was JFK. JFK was the first to pardon a turkey. It was actually, there was President Calvin Coolidge before him. He didn't pardon a turkey, he pardoned a raccoon. So someone gave him a raccoon in 1926 and Coolidge received it as a gift. And I guess, I'm not a big fan of raccoon meat. I'm not sure, but they asked him to eat it and he said, no, well, we're going to pardon this raccoon. And it became Calvin Coolidge's pet. So, just a little fun fact of, hold on here. Americans eat an estimated 50 million pumpkins on Thanksgiving Day. Man, oh man, that's a lot of pumpkins. Anyways, but as I said earlier, though, pumpkins aren't the pie of choice. It's Apple pie, of course. American is apple pie. Thanksgiving didn't become a national holiday until 1863. Although the first Thanksgiving was held in 1621, there were many reported occasions of celebrating the holiday after this date. It took over 200 years for the entire nation to get on board. It wasn't until 1863, the height of the Civil War, when President Abraham Lincoln declared Thanksgiving as a national holiday. And let's see, Jingle Bells was originally written as the Thanksgiving Day song. When composer James Pierpont first wrote Jingle Bells in 1856, the song was titled One Horse Open Sleigh and was intended to be a song for Thanksgiving. A botched Thanksgiving order led to the intervention of frozen TV tray dinners in 1953. These are all good fun facts. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on. Let's go to Anne Marie Lenhart for table topics this morning. Anne Marie, you out there ready to?
Good morning, Mike. How are you
take on?
doing?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
I love your t-shirt. Wow, turkey trot. That's really great.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Here we are at Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the holidays, and boy, didn't they come fast. It's amazing. So really, Thanksgiving is a time of enjoyment, a time to spend with your family and your loved ones. So David Jones, you don't have a job, do you, David?
I have a job, I just don't have a role.
Oh,
No, I'm available, yes.
all right. So if you could invite one person, living or dead, to join you for your Thanksgiving dinner, who would it be and why?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I would assume my grandfather on my father's side. He died at age 50, and as did my grandmother. She died about 6 months after him, and everybody says it was from a broken heart. And I was in about 3rd grade, so I didn't really get to know him. I knew him a little bit, but he was a naval aviator. He was a captain, and he flew in the World War II, and then Korea, and then Vietnam. So he went from prop planes to jet airplanes. And it would just be interesting now as an adult to be able to talk to him about his career. I remember going to Norfolk, Virginia with him and going on different ships, and then to the airplane graveyard that they have. And I remember playing in a helicopter. It's very odd, the memories we have is when we're younger. But I think he would have been a really interesting person as an adult to get to talk to him and find out about his career, what he saw. I know that they traveled a lot as a couple, my grandfather and grandmother. And now there's a place in Moyock, North Carolina, which is the northeastern most part of North Carolina. It's a little hole in the wall. And where we used to live, there's a street called Mac Jones Road or Street, something like that, in his honor. But yeah, I don't really have any Thanksgiving traditions. We, ever since I got divorced, everything has changed. We went from going to Disney every year, and then we'd eat at Cracker Barrel at Disney, and then we'd start going to my daughters, and now pretty much don't do anything on Thanksgiving. I just hang out, or I'll go see my daughter or something. I don't have a lot of traditions anymore, but the one person would be my grandfather, Mac Jones, or Captain Mac Jones. So thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Okay, thank you, David. Is Jackie Kenny in the audience?
There's Jackie.
Jackie, you don't have a job, do you, Jackie?
No, I do not.
Okay, so congratulations, you're the candidate. Thanksgiving, we know, is a very joyful time with celebrations, but also a very stressful time in terms of holiday stress. It's particularly associated with Black Friday and Cyber Monday, where everybody's out to get the best deal they possibly can. So a lot of stressors, overwhelming crowds, long lines, pressure from each end. So Jackie, could you share with us some ideas on how we could manage holiday shopping stress?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Well, I think my tip would be stay home, make a pot of tea. Don't go shopping. It's too crazy. There isn't anything I want badly enough that I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go stand in line at Best Buy or someplace. I think there's enough stress in life as it is without creating more stress for yourself by trying to save $5 on something. Just don't buy it. You don't need it that badly. My tradition is to stay home the day after Thanksgiving and enjoy leftover pumpkin pie and maybe later in the day, a turkey sandwich and some cranberry sauce. Lots of vitamin C in cranberry sauce, I think. So that's my tradition. Ignore the shopping. Try to enjoy life. Maybe have a good book at your side and everything will be better then. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you. Those are great suggestions. Wow. So let's see, Beth Banks, do you have a job?
She just opened up the meeting, so
Oh.
I believe Beth is.
I don't necessarily consider that much of a job, so
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't say I have a job, correct?
So you're on.
Okay.
Gratitude is a very powerful word, and studies show that people that are grateful can really decrease their blood pressure, reduce their anxiety and depression. So it's pretty powerful. So what are you most grateful for during this holiday season? And if you could share some of your memories and traditions with us.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I do have some wonderful memories. My mother's favorite holiday was Thanksgiving, not Christmas, not Easter, any of the other ones, Thanksgiving. She wanted the whole family to be there. She had 3 sisters, so anyone was invited. She made all kinds of food. Those are my very good memories. I probably have kind of a strange memory. Thanksgiving, ironically, was the last holiday my mom lived through. She passed on December 6th. So I do have memories of my mom, I guess, kind of passing the torch to me and teaching me how to make the stuffing, which of course I've revised because I think we all do things like that. But good memories and kind of sad memories because she had a brain tumor and was kind of losing it that last Thanksgiving. But I'm grateful we had her as long as we did. I always considered her kind of a second mother to my kids. She wasn't just Nana, she was there for them. As long as she was alive, she was there for them, teaching them to swim, teaching them all kinds of things, having them at her house to stay overnight, being very equal for them. If someone got to stay overnight, then the next person in line got to stay the next time. So I'm very grateful for those memories and hope that I pass some good memories on to my children and grandchildren. Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful stories and memories. Back to our Toastmaster.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Let's start with a timers report. Marty, how did our contestants do this morning?
Thank you, Mike. I'm pleased to report that all 3 contestants qualified. David Jones was right around 2 minutes, Jackie Kenny 1:15, and Beth Banks 1:53. All 3 candidates qualified. Thank you, Mike.
Perfect, thank you. Maggie, this is where you come up and let us know if our contestants use the word of the day. Come on up.
I'm going to grow. So I'm so afraid of being wrong, but I believe that our first 2 contestants, Jackie and David, I wrote it down. Use the word of the day, but I don't believe that Beth did use the word of the day. Can somebody correct me? She did. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks, Maggie. Appreciate it. All right, then. We have David or Jackie. Please cast your votes. So while we're waiting, I think some of you may have noticed behind me the 124th annual Buffalo Turkey Trot. And for me, I love Thanksgiving. You know, I get a chance to eat, be with family and friends, eat some more, nap, eat some more. I don't have to clean the pool anymore. I don't have to mow the lawns. It's really kind of a great time, you know. But one of the other traditions that I have is I run in the Buffalo Turkey Trot. Well, I trot more than I run now. Okay, because it's you know, I just slow down a little bit. Anyway, this will be my 13th time. So over a decade we've been running in it. And I go with family and friends. And the great thing about the Turkey Trot is that not really the run, it's the crazy people that you see there and the costumes that they have. And some of the crazy people that join me, Len, you know, if you could show our photo, there they are. And then that's me with my hat on the left with my eyes closed. I didn't even realize that. And then on the other side, you might recognize that guy there. That's Len. Len's part of the party afterwards. You start and you run down Delaware Ave for about 5 miles. Or no, it's an 8K. Yeah, about 5 miles. And what was that? 4.98, sorry. It's an 8K. So, you know, it's a Canadian thing. And at the end, we have a party. Well, there's a party going on, and it's usually set up. You can see maybe the ball there in the background, where it's the world's largest disco, which happens the week after that. So it's kind of neat. We usually meet by the Charlie's Angels poster. So you know you got Farrah Fawcett there. Anyway, we're going back to the 70s there, but I'm sure a lot of you know who that is. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and sometimes, you know, we might over imbibe a little bit, so we make sure that we have a designated driver to bring me home, and then I sleep on the couch until it's time to eat because I've got you know, I might have had a couple too many beers, but it's a lot of fun, and that's one of my traditions, and we really enjoy it. Anyway, we'll move on to the speaking portion, and we'll bring up for David Shannon, Carol Ann. Hi, Carol Ann. Come on up and tell us what David's speech will be about. You.
Dave has mentioned that he's probably taking the humor type path. His speech, Mr. Timer, is 5 to 7 minutes. And the title is Thanksgiving in the City. Dave.
Thank you. As my tradition as the instructor for ASL, and I never stop, I am going to start with teaching you how to say Happy Thanksgiving in 2 different ways. So you can share that with your friends and family Thanksgiving next week. Okay. If you're an adult, they usually go like, this is happy for everything. Happy, this is thank you. So Happy Thanksgiving is Happy Thanksgiving. You extend it further out. That's for adults. For the kids, they like to do it this way. Happy Turkey Day. It's the sign for turkey. So they go Happy Turkey Day. So I've already had my tradition of a little bit of ASL mixed in with my speech. Now I'm going to tell you what Thanksgiving in New York City is. Well, I grew up with my cousins in a place called Marble Hill in the top of Manhattan with my father's brother, Uncle Larry, and his wife, Barbara. And it was a family tradition of Thanksgiving. And my Aunt Barbara, I have to say, it's the truth. She liked me more than her own kids for one reason. They didn't appreciate her food as much as I did. When I went to her house, I knew I was going to get the best food possible. And she loved me because I was a great eater. Obviously, it hasn't stopped. She started the tradition. It's her fault. Okay, so dinners were with her and my uncle and my cousins and a few other different relatives up in the top of Manhattan. Now, they were artists, my aunt and my uncle. My uncle was a painter. My aunt was a sculptress. One time when we went to their house, my father says, I got to show you your uncle's painting. We went up to the attic and there was a big painting and it was just swirls of color. And I go, Uncle Larry sells those? Yeah, lots of money. I said, Dad, you can get a chimpanzee to make circles. He sells paintings like that? Yes, he does. Well, end of the story is he stopped selling his paintings and he made a livelihood selling his wife's sculptures. And he had a great spot right near the Museum of Natural History. Right behind it, near the planetarium. And that's going to come later in my speech today, talking about that spot. And he had it for over 35 years, a great spot. When you're an artist in the city and you have a good spot, it gets passed on from generation to generation. Okay, now this is my audience participation. You've got to promise me, and I'm going to watch, that you're not going to make fun of my family when I tell you my Uncle Larry and Aunt Barbara's kids' names. The first one, who's almost exactly my age, his name is Chester. Okay, that's good. His brother, a few years later, is Lester. Oh, now you're sensing a pattern, huh? Well, about 8 years later, they had a sister, Hester. I see the laughter. I know you're making fun of them. That's okay. I'm used to it. I love telling the story. So we have Chester, Lester, and Hester. Well, there's a fourth baby coming up. And he was supposed to be Sylvester. But 3 months before he was born, my Aunt Barbara's brother died. And in tradition, she named her last child after her brother. So it's Chester, Lester, Hester, and Bradford. So I know I always get laughter, that's okay. Now, growing up in the city, Thanksgiving is a little different than it is here. We have parades, big parades. If you watch the news, a couple of days ago, they put up the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center that always comes around this time of year before Thanksgiving. And we have a parade. Parade is sponsored by Macy's. And what's really cool about it that a lot of people don't know is remember I told you my uncle had a great spot for selling his work? Well, that's where they blow up the balloons the night before the parade. Great place. If you ever want to see the parade, go the night before. They blow up the balloons right next to the Hayden Planetarium, and then it goes around the corner down the Central Park West. Okay, let's continue. Other tradition in New York City in that time of year is hot chestnuts and hot pretzels. Oh, I love those things. When I was older, I finally went to my first Thanksgiving Day parade. I was an adult. Oops. I was an adult when I went to my first parade because it's a pain in the neck. It is so crowded, it's easy to see it on TV. Okay, I went with my cousin Chester. Lester wasn't there, but Brad was. And he says, do you know where you're standing? I said, yeah, about 15 rows back from the parade. He says, do you know where you're standing? I said, where? That's the Dakota. You're standing in the exact spot John Lennon was shot, in front of the Dakota, right opposite Central Park. I said, whoa, that's scary. He says, don't move, we'll lose our spot. So now that I moved up here, we have other traditions on Thanksgiving. I've learned that beef on wick can only be served on wick rolls. If you have extra wick rolls and the beef is gone, you throw the wick rolls away, or else the wick gods are going to get you. And that's for another day. I have another story about that. Food is good up here, and now I can make my own chestnuts and pretzels. Life is good, and change is inevitable. And I've accepted change from New York City to Westchester County to Western New York. And someday when my house sells, I'm going to go to North Carolina to have dinner with David Jones. So I will finish with this. Either you go with the flow or you get washed away by the tide. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. And we'll bring up the next Dave Licata, and Dave will introduce Mr. Joe Budnick. Dave, come on up. Kumbari.
It's my great pleasure to be the evaluator for our dear friend Joe Budnick. He's going to take the assignment number 1, the speech to inform. This is from the Advanced Communication Series, naturally called Speaking to Inform, which begs the question, what speech isn't to inform? But I'll leave my editorial opinions alone. The time is 5 to 7, Marty. And the purpose of the talk is for the speaker to present an informative speech of 5 to 7 minutes. The information should be presented in an interesting manner with clear organization. The speaker should support the facts and points with statistics, quotes, or expert opinions. Addition to your oral evaluation, please write answers. And I have a list of questions here that are my business and not yours. Joe Budnick, you want to come up? Sadly, I don't have the title on here. Therapeutic Crisis Intervention by Joe Budnick.
Within the last 4 years, I have worked at Anna Merritt Elementary School as a teacher's aide. Previous to that, I worked in a facility called Aurora House, which was a facility for teens. Plus, I've also worked at Child and Family Services. Unfortunately, as it is, a lot of the youth that I've worked at, they have issues. Some are on the autism spectrum, and things can get violent. Now, when this happens, when they go into crisis, you don't want to have to put your hands on a kid if you don't have to. You prefer to talk to them and calm them down. But sometimes it doesn't always happen. When you have a kid that's coming after you, that's coming after a peer, flipping over chairs, safety has to come first. And that is the purpose of what is called Therapeutic Crisis Intervention, or TCI for short. TCI is a series of escorts, holds, defensive blocks that we are trained to do to deal with a crisis situation. It is used to teach and to support, not to punish a kid, even though I'm sure the kids probably don't see it that way. I'm sure, but that is what it is used for. This is something obviously we are trained to do. Now, in our school, Anna Merritt, we've had to do a lot of escorts, and we have what is known as a time away room down the hall It's a quiet room where the kids can go and get reorganized, resituated in the situation. There was a lot of therapeutic holds that we had to do at Aurora House, and Child and Family Service was known as the Hold Central. It seemed like every other day a kid was being put in a hold. It was pretty sad. But like I said, it is to teach and to support. Now, a very vital process of TCI is something called the life space interview. After a child has to be removed or whatever it is you have to do, this is you sit down and talk to them and summarize what happened. You identify a place to talk to the child. You explore their point of view. What happened? What got you upset? Tell me what happened. Let's talk about it. You summarize their feelings and say, I understand that you're upset. I can see why. You connect the trigger to their feelings and behaviors. You come up with an alternative response to their feelings when this happened. It's like when you get upset about something and you didn't want to do an assignment, you were having a bad day, one of your peers made you mad, what's something that you can do different? And you plan to develop a practice and quietly enter them, if they're able to, back into the program when this happens. Just this week, we were recertified for TCI. And one of the main concerns that a lot of us had was doing it the wrong way. You don't want to hurt a kid. You don't want to do it the wrong way. And that's something that we were concerned that we could either get sued or get in trouble. Our trainers assured us it's not going to go smoothly. You have a kid that's upset and crisis, and you have to make sure that kid is safe. Obviously, not everything is just going to go hunky-dory. That's just a fact of life. The only time you could ever really get in trouble is when you put down on a report something that didn't happen. Because trust me, the paperwork that we have to fill out when this happens for a critical incident report is sometimes 10 times more traumatizing than the actual incident itself, at least for the staff anyway. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's so easy to put down on a report, well, Johnny was having a bad day, so we escorted him out in the hall and we took him to the timeout room and we talked and everything was just fine. Well, guess what? There's cameras everywhere. You put that down and someone looks on the video and you see Johnny did not want to leave the room. Johnny was kicking and screaming the whole time and using language that would make a sailor blush. And basically you got kicked in the face and kicked in the shin many times and you didn't put that down. That's really the only time you could truly get in a pickle. So joking aside, you see why it would be easy to do that. But they said, as long as when this happens, you put down on a report exactly what happened and how it happened, you're fine. We understand that things don't always go smoothly when a child has to be removed. So like I said, you don't want to have to put your hands on a kid if you don't have to. But safety, like I said, has to come first. And the main purpose of TCI is to be able to do this in a therapeutic way so that you're safe, the children are safe, and it is a safe environment. When you have a safe environment, it's it's conducive to learning and you build a sense of trust with the kids. And like I said, TCI is not meant to punish, it's not meant to scold, it's not meant to show your dominance or anything like that. It is used to teach and to support. And like I said, when you have a safe environment, the kids feel safe and the kids will trust you, learn to trust you as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it. Our third evaluator is out in Cyberland. Eric, you there? Eric Schneider?
Yes, I am. I am here.
There he is. Eric will be evaluating Sylvia Baptiste. Go ahead, Eric, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest, Katie. Welcome. This morning, I have the great privilege to evaluate Sylvia Baptiste. She'll be speaking to the Pathway Leadership Development section, Level 1, her icebreaker. The purpose of her project is for the member to introduce herself to us, as she has done in the past. And her time, Mr. Timer, is 4 to 6 minutes. And Mr. Toastmaster, do you want me to introduce her title, or do you want to?
Sure, I'll take care of that. Thank you.
Yep, thank
Sylvia
you.
Baptiste, home for the holidays, Sylvia Baptiste. Good morning, Sylvia.
I do have to say, I am so happy to be the last speaker because this is not going to be very organized. But I didn't want notes, and I thought, you know, coming from the heart, coming from family, I should be able to do this without any notes. I'm going to take you back to, some of you will remember, some of the young ones will not remember, November 23rd, 1967. Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was 5. And I remember clearly, because I started school. I know David's giving me the strange look. 5. I started school. We didn't have preschool. We didn't have daycares. We didn't have a lot of interaction outside of the home at the young age of 4 and 3, not unless you had siblings in the neighborhood, which we love the neighborhood kids. I still remember them all. But remember November 23rd, 1967. I was so excited that whole week. My father and my brother went deer hunting. It was deer season. We were home alone, my mother and my 2 sisters and my grandmother who lived with us. And I used to race home from this neighborhood school and go down and talk to my grandmother. Oh, I learned about, we're going to have turkey on Thursday, you know, all this food. And she just would look at me and say, turkey? We never had turkey when your mother was young. We called it chicken day. They had chickens because they lived on a farm. So they would kill one of the chickens and that's what they had for dinner. And I thought, oh, that's terrible, terrible. And my mother would, weeks before Thanksgiving, would be making the homemade raviolis because you're not going to have Thanksgiving dinner without pasta sauce. Got to have it. The meatballs, the bruschetta, everything. The antipasto, the salad. And I remember waking up that morning. And of course, it was cold. It was cold out. High 39, low 32. Forecast said snow that day. Oh, everybody was so excited. But the house smelled so good because she was up at crack of dawn putting that big turkey in the oven. And by the time we got up at 6, 7 o'clock, it just started to put the fragrance through the house. Also, Macy's Parade. You had to be there in your pajamas in front of the TV. And I think we had a color television set at that time. And we were watching the parade and the floats and thought it was great. We started out with 8 to 10 people. If I remember correctly, probably 10. My grandfather, my uncle on my father's side, us 7, and my future brother-in-law came over for dinner. And we ate and ate. As you were talking, that's all you do is eat and sit there and laughing and talking. Everybody's having a great time. It was family time. And afterwards, when we cleared the table, out came the cards, Monopoly board. And we were playing cards, or actually I watched because I couldn't play cards at the time. But I learned. And then, of course, in the background, what do you hear? The football games. Detroit and the Rams were playing. I remember hearing that. My father hated the Rams. And of course they won 31-7 that year. Everybody else in the house hated Dallas Cowboys. They won 46-21. So the family time and getting us together, it's memorable. It's just there. And when you hear people say, isolate yourself this year, don't be around people that are different politicians and public things that you don't like. Talk to them beforehand. Get a plan. You know, okay, we're not talking politics today. This is family time. Put the phones away. Let's have a deck of cards. Bring out the Monopoly board or whatever else you play. It has to be back to the traditions that we do. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. Let's bring up Marty to tell us how we did with our speeches for time.
Thank you, Mike. Fellow Toastmasters, all three contestants qualified. David Shannon, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Joe Budnick, 5:19, and Sylvia was 4:56. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. So please cast your votes for either Dave, Joe, or Sylvia. And so I understand, Black Friday, right? I get Cyber Monday, but Brown Thursday, I didn't even hear that term until last week when I was going over, okay, what are we going to do this, do my Toastmaster on, my theme. And I had never heard of it either. And Kate was the one who said, no, Brown Thursday is actually Thanksgiving. So you would go out and shop, because before it used to be you had that day off. And I guess I'm not a fan of Brown Thursday, right? I mean, I want the day off. I want to spend it with my family and have a good time. And just Brown Thursday, I think of bad things when you think of Brown Thursday. So for me, I'm not much of a shopper. I'm like Jackie in that respect, where I to save a few bucks, for me to get up at 4:30 in the morning, that is not going to happen. But 82% of the people plan to shop during Cyber Week. So I think the trend is changing now that people shop online. There's no doubt about it. They just would rather be in their jammies or their underwear and clicking a button, and next thing you know, Amazon has it at your doorstep, right? And for me, working in the recycling business, I can almost tell sometimes if it was a really good retail year, because stores like Tops, right? They're pretty consistent with the amount of cardboard that they put out afterwards. It's almost like a tell, right, as to how well they did. And then we also handle Amazon. I handle all the Amazons in the Northeast of the distribution centers. So when they bring the material in boxes, and then they bring it to your home, those boxes just make a big circle, right? And they end up back to us, and then we bail them up, and then we send them on their way. I also handle all the Walmarts. So there are 250 Walmarts that I handle, Lockport being one of them. And those cardboard bales that you see in the back of a Walmart store, we pick those up, and those will go to local mills within the area, or we might even bring them in the Boston area. We rebale them, and then we send them to, a lot of times they'll go to India or Thailand, or really all over the world. OCC is a commodity now. It goes to people that make linerboard again. So I'll see already that we're not producing as much cardboard as we normally would during November. So I'm pretty sure that the retail season is going to be a little bit on the slow side this year. 2.5 more people will shop online than in person. So I think, to Jackie's point, we don't want to do it anymore. We just want to, but I think there's something lost there, right? I mean, you used to hang out at the mall, you'd walk through, you'd see a friend that you haven't seen in about 15 or 20 years and say hi to them. And now you're online, and okay, maybe you'll Facebook that person, who knows, if they throw up a nice picture, but it's a little different. We're Toastmasters. We like to see people and shoot the crap, or whatever you want to call it. And, But even then, my wife will go, oh, no, I'm gonna go shopping with you. You're gonna inevitably see somebody you know. And all I wanted was two things and you're gonna be talking. I go, well, that's what I do. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the evaluation portion. And let's have Carol Ann come up and evaluate David Shannon's speech.
Prior to starting, Marty, I would just like to mention our Thanksgiving tradition has been, as our daughters were growing up, we spent most Thanksgivings in Florida and did all the theme parks. And now my husband and I actually were planning on going to Florida this Thanksgiving to visit friends in the villages, but we're not doing theme parks. We're kind of gonna just take it easy. Dave Shannon. He loves to talk, so I think he really enjoys telling us stories. And he always manages to get the American Sign Language in, which is good. We always are learning new words. He's very descriptive. You feel like you were there. And very expressive. I know when he mentioned the Dakota with John Lennon, any of us who were the Beatles fans just kind of can picture that in our mind because we saw it on the news at the time. And it was very interesting names of his cousins. And he was effective in telling us about it because he paused and then surprised us with a name that didn't go along with it. And you can tell he loves New York City too. You can get that vibe. And he's just very expressive too. However, sometimes he was moving, I think he's so used to moving his hands with the sign language that maybe he was moving his hands around a little too much. But he did have good eye contact, was looking around the room. And a couple times he moved a little bit away from the microphone. But Dave is a very effective speaker, and he just adds personality to the room. So good job, Dave. Mr. Toastman.
Good job, Carol. Our second evaluator, evaluating Joe Budnick, is Dave Licata. Nice shirt, Dave. Oh, I like that.
Not too fast, Marty. I have to throw in my 2 cents. We talked about the Dakota, but why is the Dakota really, really scary? That's where they filmed Rosemary's Baby. You didn't know that? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Joe's first job is to corral the audience. How did he do that? And I thought he did it very well. He mentioned the places that he had worked. So sooner or later, the people in the audience would say, oh yes, I have a connection to this place, that place, and so on. That's a very effective opening. Both my sons went to Anna Merritt. So that was a trip, but more about that later, Michael. That helped the audience relate. Now, I'm going to give you the big theater lecture. I think you should have personified this Johnny person a little bit more for our sake. And this goes for everybody in the room, myself included. And next time I invite you, because of your nature, to be precise, to be accurate, but it's okay to fudge it. So you could have given us a nice long story about Johnny's ups and downs, his background, why you could have intimated whether it's true or not. It's always Johnny. Why is it always Johnny? And that just would have something that I want you to do next time and to be aware of. It's the theater idea. Because number one, we always have the little Johnny jokes. So you're already 50 yards ahead on that one. But he could have, and I know from when you said Anna Merritt, there was some really hard cases there. So hats off to you for working there. Now, I told you what I liked. I told you what I want you to prove on. Now I want to tell you what I loved. What we can learn from Joe Budnak is the art of gentle gestures. He kept up the gestures very nicely. There was no gaps, but they were gentle. They were small gestures, leading us to believe that this Johnny is in good hands by the way you used your hands. Also, once you switched to TCI, that was a great benefit to us as well, because it has also helped us get involved because we live in an age of alphabet soup. So the minute we got into TCI, we're all trying to figure it out. You prefaced this, but next time do the little reverse. But what I learned, this was a speech to inform, and I've been informed that our Joe cares about those kids. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Dave. Our third and final evaluator, Eric Schneider, will be evaluating Sylvia Baptiste. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. Sylvia gave us a visual, of her life growing up in the 60s. And I just want to say about how she delivered her speech. She gave us a wonderful speech with grace. She used no notes at all, which is fantastic. And I would like to say I gotta keep up with that too, of not using notes in speeches, but she really, really gave us a wonderful speech with that. I like how she presented with the memories of Thanksgiving, how story about her family making raviolis and pasta. I never know somebody making pasta and raviolis on Thanksgiving. I just thought Thanksgiving was just turkey stuffing, cranberry sauce, the fixings, all the works. But now I need to tell my mom, hey, raviolis for Thanksgiving. Thank you, Sylvia. You gave me something to think about. You also gave us a memory about how you guys were watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I can see in the back of my mind how it was back in the 60s, because I think that it has over the years, which I can't believe will be the 96 Macy's Parade this year. What you may want to work on, Sylvia, is I know that you said that it wasn't like what's the word I'm looking for? It you did have it like organized a little bit, but that's okay. But work on using a little less. I hear a lot of ands, I hear a lot of buts and so's. Maybe dial it down just a tad with that as well. And to challenge yourself, maybe move the lectern a little bit and walk around in the square space that we have and express yourself more with your speech. But other than that, great delivery, great speech, and I look forward to hearing more. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Eric. I am going to get a final timers report.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mark.
Mike. Thank you, Mike. Fellow Toastmasters, all 3 evaluators qualified. Carol Ann at 2:15, David Licata 2:54, and Eric at 2:10. Thank you. Mike, back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, everyone. And at this point of the show, I'm going to pass it over to my general evaluator, Mike Licata. And before I do that, remember to cast your votes for either Carol Ann, Dave Licata, or Eric Schneider. Thank you all. And happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster. Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters and our guests this morning. But I want to give you a lot of credit. This was a very, very well-prepared meeting this morning. We got started on time. Your subject matter was very appropriate for the time of year. You came well prepared with props. You came well prepared with information. And I also want to thank you for that unique insight into the Northeast supply chain through your work. It's always fascinating to me is that I always read articles about shopping trends, and I know that's part of the economy is the global supply chain, and the fact that you work in recycling and you know exactly who gets all the big manufacturers and retailers gets which recycling and how much you collect and re-enter into the system. I have to give you a lot of it's a very unique insight, and I want to thank you for sharing that with us this morning. I also did give you credit. You are on top of notifying people of the roles through the emails. It's really simple now, but you still kept on it and made everything a lot easier. All 3 of our speakers, or excuse me, all 3 of our evaluators this morning are experienced evaluators. They use much of the sandwich approach, which is positive, with a lot with suggestions for improvement is the meat of the sandwich, and then we always finish with what we like of the speech. Caroline, I thought you did a good job talking about David's speech and ways to improve the speech. I would caution you on there was some suggestions for improvement, but I feel like you could have found more with it. I mean, I think that we're all come to Toastmasters to improve our speaking. That being said, it is hard to be an evaluator. It's something that we're accustomed to, and I know we're also kind of learning to be critical of other people's speeches. David's been doing this forever, so I will just leave that there. Eric also did the sandwich approach this morning. He gave many good suggestions on how Sylvia could improve her speech, but I think all 3 of our evaluators did a really good job this morning. And with that, I will call on our quiz master this morning to Mark to give us our quiz. How did we do on that?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. Good morning once again. Fear not, this won't hurt a bit. This shouldn't be too bad today. Let's start, shall we? According to our Toastmaster, what type of pie is king?
Apple.
Apple.
And I wholeheartedly agree. Pumpkin doesn't really do it for me, but apple pie warmed up with some ice cream, that is the GOAT.
Killer.
Every year, how many turkeys get cooked?
40 million.
Correct.
Dave said all of them. I don't know. In my
Nice.
house, some got a little overcooked every once in a while.
Which president was the first to pardon a turkey?
JFK.
Okay.
Correct.
Kennedy.
Correct. And when did President Lincoln declare Thanksgiving a national holiday? What year was that?
1863.
63, yeah.
Mike, you can't answer these questions.
No, I'm
Provided, you
repeating them.
provided the facts.
I'm relaying them for you. I'm relaying them from the audience.
Oh, okay, you're relaying. Thank you. You're providing
Yeah.
a service, which I appreciate.
Correct.
What career
I'm in the
did
service
David
industry.
Jones's grandfather? What career did David Jones's grandfather have?
Dave said fighter pilot.
A naval aviator. A naval aviator, not a fighter pilot. I think there's a difference. Naval aviators will tell you they are a different breed than their Air Force brethren. And what rank did he achieve?
Captain?
Captain is correct. With the 2024 Turkey Trot, how many will Mike Florio have run?
It will be
13.
Lucky 13.
Okay, this question will be the main event of my quiz. Who can name the 4 cousins of Dave Shannon?
Lester.
They're flying in Fast and Furious. Believe me, everybody got them. Chester, Lester, Hester,
Chester.
the molester. We always say Chester the molester.
Did anyone get Bradford though?
Yes.
Yes, everyone.
So, and Dave, I can only wonder if Bradford was the proverbial black sheep of the family for not rhyming. But anyway, what year was Sylvia's speech set in?
1967.
1967. And Sylvia, you have a remarkably
Dave
vivid
graduated
memory.
from college that year. High school. Okay, well.
I don't know how you can have such a vivid memory of one day at age 5, but it's just further evidence that I probably should have done a better job preserving brain cells throughout my life. Maybe I would be able to do the same. What movie was filmed at the Dakota? Okay, and
Joe said Rosemary's Baby.
last but not least, what is the most critical food course in a traditional Italian family Thanksgiving?
Pasta, ravioli.
A pasta course. Anyway, I'll accept any type of pasta, but pasta was what I was looking for. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mark. And I will turn it over to Margot for an master and a grammarian report.
So in tradition of my reports, I only have 3 pages.
Oh, no. Be afraid.
And unlike most, as you know, I tend to call people out because I know when I hear my name, I tend to learn a little bit more. So we're going to start with the ahs and the ums. Mike, you had the most today, but then again, you spoke the most. So that's life. I did hear ahs and ums today from Anne Marie, Beth, Dave Shannon, Eric, Sylvia, Carol, Ann, and Mike. However, none of those people went over our 5. We had our usual plethora of gonnas, start overs, kind of wannas, so's, really, cuz. So I don't know if the problem is with the mic for some of this. So if it is, please let me know. But I'm going to go in chronological order on my paper here. Mike, you said 4 million turkeys cooked. I assume you meant cooked, or actually they were roasted. President Calvin Coolidge, he. David Jones, I do have a job, I don't have a role, because traditionally in Toastmasters, these are roles, not jobs. I heard died after him, after he died, it should have been after he died, that you needed to make it a sentence there. And Marie, you're the candidate. I love that as well. Jackie used an adverb. I was so excited. Don't need it that badly. But then I heard in table topics, and part of it I'm going to say for Beth was it was an emotional topic because at least 6 times she said, I guess kinda. I guess kinda. So I think she was trying to fill the space and control that. Joe, I'm sorry, I heard the word over imbibe, which was fabulous. We usually have kindas and gunnas. Dave Shannon had a couples. And I loved Go with the Flow or Washed Away by the Tide. Dave Licata, of course, gave his editorial opinion, which was a nice way to put it. Joe had youth he'd work at. I think he meant youth with, but then get resituated was a wonderful way to talk about the child recentering themselves. Language that would make a sailor blush and get in a pickle were also very good uses of the English language. I also heard a couple people today use the word use instead of you or you are. Later on, we had a couple more people, Carol and Mike, both who said the noun and the verb. So you don't need to say David Shannon, he, you don't see to see Marty, he. I loved some of the pictures in our minds though that Carol Ann created today. Dave Licata used the word really 6 times. I love big theater lecture. And Eric, I want to thank you for doing part of my job because I did have a few more things there, but you covered them all in our evaluation. And to end on a positive note, I love it when I hear the word shall. So Mark, shall we begin? Was lovely. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Margot. And with that, I will turn it over to Mike, our Toastmaster, who can call for that last word report for Maggie. Mike, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Come on up, Maggie. Did we use our word tradition today?
This is going to be a big habit for me. Well, I'm so glad to be part of your tradition of coming at 7 in the morning and getting up at 5. Thank you. This is a really hard job. This is a really hard job. I think I did it correctly. I don't believe that Joseph, David, or David Licata or Eric used the word, nor did Beth Banks, but everybody else. Oh, and Mike Licata did use the word tradition.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the word of the day, job, role, is one that you have to definitely pay attention to make sure that people do it, and the ahs and ums as well. So thanks, Margot, for keeping it real and keeping it with under 15 minutes. I definitely need some.
I was going to ask somebody to turn on the timing machine and let me know, but
I was going to look at my watch kind of and go. Anyway, Mike, are you good? My general evaluator? I think that is it for the day. We are going to announce our winners. This morning, our best table topics, Jackie Kenny. You're going to hang out, Jackie? All right. She's won about 9,000 of these. She doesn't really need another ribbon. She always defers. Our best evaluator, my Gumbadi, David Licata. Good morning, Dave. Another one. Congratulations. This is Dave's first best evaluator.
That particular Thanksgiving in 1967 was my first as a freshman in Niagara County Community College. And you're going, I was 5.
Well, you weren't around for Calvin Coolidge's, okay? I mean, our best speaker this morning, very informative speech, Joe Budnick. Well deserved. Joe, come on up. Thank you, my friend. And while I get your ribbon, why don't you just pick out one of these? I don't look. You're gonna have to take me out forcibly.
Yeah. Okay. 378 2741.
2741 we have this morning. 274. Oh, David Shannon.
All right, David.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks again. There you go.
Thank you.
Yep, my pleasure. Katie, this is the time of the meeting where you take the stage and let us know how you enjoyed the meeting this morning.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I was just gonna leave something in the chat. There's my straight out of the gate.
We'll get those out of there.
We will. Definitely a very fun event this morning. And as tradition goes, very thankful to be able to be gathering with all of our friends and family and to be able to share that time with each other as well. So I learned a lot today, had a lot of laughs. That's fantastic. Definitely gets the day off to a grand start. And I'm not sure if anybody saw the sunrise this morning
Beautiful.
and paid attention to it. Yes, fascinating colors for sure. So hopefully I will be able to be there in person. Not maybe next week. I'm going to aim for next week, but I do have to take my mother to the dentist this morning. So I'll be
Sounds
careful.
good, Katie. Thanks,
Yeah.
Katie, and welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Being Toastmaster is one of my favorite jobs, kind of. You're the MC and you have a lot of fun. Oh, come on up, Len. You want have an announcement? Come on up.
A few shameless self plugs here. Jackie is selling, as she does every year, the holiday wreaths and poinsettia plants. There are sheets available. You can grab them here, or if you're online, just contact Jackie. All proceeds go to the Mental Health Association of Niagara County. And my Lions Club is doing a charity raffle as well. If you're a Bills fan, you know that number 3 is Deion Dawkins, our left tackle. I think he weighs like 300 pounds or something like that. Very effective at his job. We have a signed Deion Dawkins jersey. Okay. Additional prizes if you don't win the grand prize, a signed Joe Andreessen jersey. Now, he was a walk-on. He played for Lancaster High School, young kid. He's still on the roster. So maybe you can find a way there. We got two. Yep. We got two 100-level tickets to a February Sabres game. I'm sure they're going to be in the hunt for the Stanley Cup then. And also we have a Bushnell Wingman GPS golf speaker. So you got 4 chances to win, $5 a ticket. Proceeds go to my Lions Club Charity Fund. Thank you.
There you go. Thanks, Len. Golf, anything to do with golf, so I'll be down for that. And each year I get a couple poinsettias for my wife from Jackie to help the Mental Health Institute, which is a really great cause. And they look wonderful. They last quite a long time too. So sign up, grab one. Beth, how you
Yes.
doing, Beth?
Okay.
We're gonna shut her down.
I stayed awake long enough to make it through the whole meeting. You know, that's a good thing, right? I do know that Eric has an announcement to make, so I'm going to turn it over quickly to Eric.
Yes, thank you, Beth. Thank you very much. Fellow Toastmasters, our Toastmaster for next week is Joe Butnick, and our speakers are Joe Roaring, Marshall Song, and Steve Smith. So check the agenda online. Also, got some important dates, especially for the club officers. Officer training is next Tuesday evening from 7 to 8:30 online. I will have a link posted in the email for all our officers. The spring conference, the ticket sales starts Friday, the 29th of this month. And I will see if I can get hold of Avis with more information on that. And for the officers, officer meeting will be on Sunday, the 24th. And I will provide more information as to that as well. So that's all the announcements I have this morning. And if anybody has any questions, please reach out. So Beth, I'll turn over to you to wrap up our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Oh, we have one more announcement from Dave Shannon. Hold on, Dave. Come on.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Dave Jones and I have an ASL lessons online Zoom. Go to ASL Toastmasters Club and that's our website. And from there, you get to the link for the Zoom meetings. They're Thursdays at 7 PM from now on. So there's going to be one tonight. And then we're going to skip over until December after Thanksgiving. So you're all invited. It's a lot of fun, hopefully some laughs, and you'll learn some sign language. Please pass the information on to your family and friends. It's something that you can do with Thanksgiving. After you eat, you can do a little sign language, like Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay. And I did want to add a little bit more to Katie's comment about the beautiful sunrise. For those of you, this is one of my mother's favorites. That red sky in morning, sailor take warning. Who knows what today will bring? Be careful.
Who knows? With that,
Have a great day, guys.
have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.
Meeting is closed.